So it's May 29th, 2025, and that would make the iPhone 16 Pro Max in its 6th year. It's actually probably launched more like 5.5 years ago, but it's in its 6th year. So let's go ahead and speed test both of these, the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the 11 Pro Max, to see how much of a difference this actually makes. We're actually going to see real differences here in this speed test. We're going to go ahead and begin by timing the actual boot up test here. Let's go ahead and start with the iPhone 16 Pro Max in 3, 2, go, and see how long it does take to get turned on. Now, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is not the fastest booting phone in the world. I think the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I tried, boots faster. Some of the Samsungs are now booting a little faster, but it's not a slow poke either. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes. And I'm going to be slightly off, with this tap, but we're going to be as close as we can be. And once that screen gets to the lock screen, right around 26.12 seconds. So that's going to be pretty tough to beat on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Let's go ahead and check that one now. And this was a time when the iPhone was such a nice color here. The midnight green, definitely a really beautiful color option here. The Alpine green on the 13 Pro Max was giving this one a run for its money though. Boot this thing up in 3, 2, go, and see how long it does take. Now, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you got to hold that button for quite some time. There's this weird thing that occurs when I get the iPhone. I'll tap it once and it turns on, but then as I get some updates in, I have to hold the button down longer. I don't know why it does that. Has that occurred for you? Because it definitely occurs for me. So we're already closing in on the 26 seconds here in just a minute. Even just pressing the button, it took a little bit longer, but wow. I have to swallow my words because I thought it was going to be close. The 11 Pro Max turned on faster. That is insane. So that's a pretty good start for the 11 Pro Max here 6 years later. Let's go ahead and get on with the next test here. So if I go ahead and take a look at Face ID, you can see right in there for the phone, and we'll go ahead again in 3, 2, go. That's for the 11 or the 16 Pro Max. Let's see if it does exactly the same here on this phone. And you'll see it actually performs identical. So there is literally no difference here. All these years later, same phone when it comes to unlocking. Even on some weird angles, the 11 Pro Max is still working well. You would think that it's a little better, but nah, it's basically the same tech, and I still love this tech. This tech is one of the best on a phone for unlocking, but definitely not a substantial difference there when it comes to biometrics. And we don't have a Touch ID. You would think all these years later Apple might have implemented a Touch ID scanner within the body of the 16 Pro Max, but didn't do so. Now, generally scrolling through the operating system, of course, the ProMotion looks a little bit smoother here for sure day to day. Still not as fast or fluid, I feel like, as some of these faster 8 Elite Android phones these days, but it's still very, very quick and very polished. I like the way it moves along. It's pretty natural, and it just kind of like has a visually pleasing effect to me, whereas a lot of these other faster devices sometimes feel a little too fast, if I'm being honest. If we scroll down here, wow, the iPhone 11 Pro Max still performs like a champ, especially on the home screens here. Shout outs to you if you kept your 11 Pro Max this long. Let us know how your experience has been going. But I already knew when these phones came out, they were going to last a lot longer than those like 1 GB of RAM iPhone, just because they have so much more RAM at 4 GB on here. But still, that's pretty weak. In 2025, it's still usable for a mobile-based operating system. I mean, this is a light OS. It's not like you're running desktop-grade applications on here. So it still is quite usable. All right, so here we are at the application test. You can see everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go into calendar. And you can see this is the base row. This is not going to be basically any different, as these apps don't require any power really to open. I just include them just to see if we get any crashes or anything like that. That was a little faster on the 16 Pro Max. I'm going to run it again because they weren't in the same location. I am seeing a hair quicker animation on that was 16 Pro Max to load that up. But other than that, not seeing substantial. Set up out of here. We'll go into Chat GPT. It's so amazing that This is where the iPhone would be much faster, and things like AI for sure. The 16 Pro Max. Let's go ahead and type a prompt. How about give me some specs on iPhone 16 Pro Max. Give me some specs on iPhone 16 Pro Max. Say go in 3, 2, go. Now they're probably going to spit out different prompts, but we'll see which one can actually generate the text faster. You could see the iPhone 11 Pro Max can even run your Chat GPT. Yeah, it's a little bit choppier when scrolling through it, but I'm sure if you load it up, it might get a little slower, but it's still usable. So you can even use this on an older iPhone. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead now and swipe about a Chat GPT. All right, so let's head into Gemini now in 3, 2, go. You can see the 16 Pro Max was a little slower to open that. Let's go into Grok. And Grok was faster on the left. We'll swipe up out of there. We'll go into Copilot. And faster on the left. But see, you can still use chatbots even on these older phones. So the real AI stuff is not on device for the 11 Pro Max and not going to be supported. So if you really want to go deep into the AI usage, you're definitely going to want to upgrade. But, you know, if you just want to use these type of things, that's not going to be hard to do on either. Let's go into YouTube. And you can see that was first on the 16 Pro Max. Let's go ahead and hit over here and we'll hit trending. And we'll go to music and we'll swipe through and gaming. And as we swipe, looks almost the same, a lot smaller screen on the right. As a matter of fact, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is almost the size of it's a little bit bigger, but almost the same size as the regular 16 Pro. Phones are just getting bigger and bigger. Let's head into Instagram, third-party apps now. And we'll go over here to my home page. We'll click on this Galaxy post. Let's swipe out of there. We'll click over here on this iPhone post. We'll pinch to zoom. And as you see, kind of giving us the same performance here when using things like social media. Let's swipe up out of there. And we'll go into X and we'll see what happens here. And X does launch first there for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And as we swipe through here, I mean, it is not promotion, but it's almost indistinguishable. I almost don't even notice it. And let's go on Amazon on both, and you'll see a little faster on the left now. But so far, I thought the 16 Pro Max was going to launch these way faster. That one's faster on the 16 Pro Max. We'll go to categories. How about tickets and events? And as we swipe through, you'll see pretty good on both. We'll swipe up out of here. We'll go into Dead Trigger 2. Now here, the 16 Pro Max better pull way ahead. And it did. So that's what I expected. And in the gaming department, this is where it really shines. But a lot of people have told me I don't really game on my phone. So it depends. Do you game on your phone? That's going to really make a difference with an upgrade. Like you definitely will feel it if you game. If you're a gamer on the phone, this is one of your main priorities. You need to upgrade for sure. You'll definitely substantially benefit in this department. Let's swipe up out of here and let's go into Race the Sun and we'll see what happens here. And Race the Sun is tending to, even this is a casual game, launching first on the iPhone 16 Pro Max by a pretty noticeable margin. Did the same thing there. I swiped out too fast. Let's go into Call of Duty and let's see if the 16 Pro Max can really show its muscle here over its older competitor. Well, not older competitor, its predecessor, excuse me. Call of Duty, definitely a more demanding game. We'll see what happens here. Downloading a couple of resources there. We'll confirm. And almost there on the 11 Pro Max. This just shows how well optimized Call of Duty Mobile is. They definitely spent their time optimizing this game because it definitely loads even good on some of the older phones. But the 16 Pro Max was quite a bit ahead. Actually, it was so far ahead, like a few seconds or so. That's probably the difference between in-game You know what I mean. You're not going to win. If you're facing off with somebody with a newer phone, the speed of their processor, you're going to be down before you even get a chance. So, and some people say, oh, it's network dependent. Nah. I've played with some slower phones and I was getting absolutely demolished in that game. Every time I use my more premium phone, I'm always winning in that game. So I think the processor speed actually does make a difference, or at least the newer, more higher performing phones do make a difference in how fast you can get some W's in Call of Duty. So you can see right there, we are way ahead again on the 16 Pro Max. So only area so far it's showing a substantial increase is in the area of high performing games. So definitely that's the bottom line here. Do you want to game on your phone yet? If you don't, you probably will go more for the better battery life, the bigger screen, the newer design, those elements, and you'll get the benefit of the more powerful chip for just longer term continued use. Let's go out over here. Let's go over the 3D Mark. This kind of reminds me of like in the car game when like they have a proven design, a proven performance, but it's just a little bit better, but it's not like your last one didn't work well, your last car didn't work well. That's kind of how it feels here with these phones. Like your old car was still a tried and true trusty. That's the 11 Pro Max, but you get a little bit more benefits of the newer one. So overall, pretty much all the base apps were pretty close. Even AI stuff, chatbots worked well on the 11 Pro Max, and the gaming is where the 16 Pro Max just blew away the 11 Pro Max. Let's head on to RAM management now. And we'll take a look here. We do have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is definitely lower than the competition, but still double that of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I wish at this point we were already on 12 GB of RAM though. It's kind of like, why are we on 8 just now in 2025? I understand iOS is efficient. It doesn't really need a ton amount of RAM, but I still think it would perform even better with the 12 GB of RAM. So let's go ahead and take a look. That was flawless, by the way. Let's take a look at the 11 Pro Max, see how this thing does almost 6 years later here already. And we'll see 4 GB of RAM. Of course, we're going to have a slower looking 60 Hertz, but are we going to get any reloads? So far, so good. And we starting here. So we're not even, what is this? I'm not waiting for this thing to load. We're only like 8 apps in and we already have full reloads here. Even on Subway Surfers. Must I continue? We're going to continue anyway, but Groupon with a full reload. Amazon with a refresh. X with a refresh. They're trying to pause that app in the background. Instagram was open. YouTube held. So this one just didn't, it was efficient enough to know that I couldn't hold those heavier things in the background. So it looks like it closed those down. But these regular apps are kind of still in the same location. So I would say it kind of just leading me to think the same thing. Believe it or not, this was a pro phone at one time, but nowadays for heavier usage under multitasking, a lot of uses, this is going to feel more like just a good casual phone, believe it or not, here in 2025. And so our final score is in for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I wanted to stop it here to showcase how much longer even the Geekbench synthetic benchmark is going to take on this phone. That would showcase when you're pushing the processor how much slower the 11 Pro Max is. Even if you would say, well, iPhones all perform the same. Well, not really. You'll see 3374 on the single core, 8348 on that multi-core score. This is on the A18 Pro chipset, and this does have a much more powerful GPU as well. So you'll see right here that if we scroll way down, this says the 11 Pro Max gets 1729 on average. Let's see if that's close. That is very close. We got 1743, and then on the multi-core score, 8,348 versus 3815. Now let's see what the 11 Pro Max says for the multi-core, and you'll see an average of around 3893. So we're pretty close there. And if you were wondering, if you're like, well, your battery health is probably low from that such an old phone, you'd be wrong. I'm actually at 98% battery health on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that shouldn't give us any issue whatsoever when it comes to maybe throttling back because I have a weak battery, because I don't. Let's go over here to Wildlife Extreme now, and we'll see what happens with this 1 minute benchmarking test. So let's go ahead and do this, and we'll see what happens with the frame rates and the graphics. I'll be back when they are done. And so the 16 Pro Max has finished with 46.26 and 27.7 average FPS, scoring better than 87% of devices on the market. Now, this is clearly not the fastest phone on the market here, the 16 Pro Max, but it's super powerful. And you've seen in the time lapse how long it was taking to get started on the graphics test on the 11 Pro Max. I remember when this phone came out though, it was a beast, but now definitely far from that. The average frame rates right there are in the single digits. So I'll be back when it's done to see what it gets. And so the iPhone 11 Pro Max actually got into the 10 FPS range, so 10.3 and 1721. You'll see only scoring better than 30% of devices in the market, but pretty cool that it's still faster than 30% of devices out there. All right, so we've been running these phones a little bit of time now. Let's go ahead and see how hot they're running. So the iPhone, see if I can find the hottest point of this device. Right around 100 degrees on the iPhone. What was that? The iPhone 16 Pro Max. Ooh, this one feels much toastier. 110. Whew. Yeah, so that's one of the things. That's not even the hottest I've seen a phone, but you get what I'm saying. One of the things about the older phones is that they tend to get much toastier as the software updates go on. So that's kind of annoying, honestly, over time. All right, so let's go ahead now and launch the cameras on both devices. I'm going to go ahead and do this in 3, 2, go. And you can see faster on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. 3, 2, go. And just a little bit quicker. Now, when going through the zoom ranges, you can see both of them do a really good job. Both are super smooth when doing that, so no major issues with either. The 11 Pro Max still has a pretty stellar camera. Definitely wouldn't have no qualms using this in 2025. It's held up just fine. So from the department of the pro camera, still a good phone on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up here in 2025, 6 years later, speed test. I think I have my conclusion on 18.5. This phone has gone from pro performance to pretty casual, regular performance. It almost feels like a base iPhone type of phone now, with still a pro grade camera, pro grade build, but it performs like a base phone. It really does. As a matter of fact, it's probably slower than some budget phones now. That's how phones go when they age. The 16 Pro Max, not the fastest out there, but still a beast by comparison. And mostly you're going to benefit a lot in the area of speed when it comes to the gaming department, especially in game. The graphics are going to slow down on this phone, and this is going to get uncomfortably warm to play. And also, if you do want to render a video, the 16 Pro Max will really showcase its muscle there. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. That's the iPhone 16 Pro Max versus 11 Pro Max 6 years later. Do you still have an 11 Pro Max? Let us know your experience, your thoughts, your comments down below. If you found the video helpful, entertaining, informative, or just enjoyable, click the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.